Welcome everyone. This is a 30-minute flow. I am happy you joined me today. It's an all levels flow, so it's really available for everybody. I'll give you options if you want to take it a little bit bigger, and I'll give you some options if you want to bring it down just a little bit. For our practice today, we are going to need, needs a strong word. It'd be nice to have 2 blocks, and if you don't have blocks available, you can grab 2 books or 2 water bottles or something kind of in that general realm. And this is just something I always say that blocks can bring the floor up to you. So if you need to bring the floor up to you as we move through our practice today, these will be nice to haves. And if not, no worries. You can just leave them off to the side. With that being said, flow at your own pace. If I move a little bit faster and you want to slow it down, you're welcome to do that as well. We're going to come into a comfortable seat to start off with and get into a little bit of pranayama work. Since this class is more of a gentle detoxy type class, so we're going to get into some twists and some forward folds. We're going to start off with a pranayama practice called Kapalabhati. And back in the day, they used to say it was breath of fire, but then they were like, no, that's not what it means. It means skull shining. So I always think it's funny, and it's the back of your skull that it shines. So we're going to get into a little bit of that work before we begin through our movement practice. So it's pretty simple. We're going to breathe in and out through our nose. And when you do that, your navel will snap up and into the body. And it's going to be almost like a natural sensation that happens. Your inhales will automatically happen, so you don't have to think too much about that. So a way to start off so you can get kind of an idea of this practice is just to, like a dog pants when they get hot, you can stick out your tongue and kind of, and you can notice when you do that, your navel naturally snaps back into your spine. We're going to do the same thing through our nose. So start your dog panting. Now close your mouth and just do that in and out of the nose. Five, four, three, two, one. Take a big inhale, fill up. Hold your breath at the top. And an open mouth exhale, let it go. So we'll do 2 more rounds just like that. It's going to be about 30 rounds of breath. We'll take a pause and then we'll do another 30. So again, a cleansing breath. Inhale, fill up. Open mouth, exhale. Inhale part way, and through the nose begin. Five, four, three, two, one. Big inhale. Hold your breath at the top. Open your mouth, exhale. One more round. Inhale part way, and begin. Five, four, three, two, one. Big inhale. Now, like you're sipping through a straw, sip just a little bit more air into your lungs. Hold it for 3, 2, and 1. Exhale, release. Take a moment. If your eyes are open, close your eyes. And you can rest a hand right over your heart center if you like. If you want to give your practice a little purpose today, now's a good time to set an intention. And that can be something simple, just move your body. It can be something a little bit grander, anything really that just helps keep you mentally on your mat. Something that you can almost repeat to yourself if at any point your mind starts to stray or wander off of your mat. And then when you're ready, blink your eyes open, release your hand. And we're going to find our way into all fours. So if you're seated on a block, you can take your block off to the side and come to all fours on your mat. Before we head into our cats and cows, just line up your joints. Make sure your shoulders stack right over your wrist, your hips are right over your knees. And then we'll start with the first one. Drop your belly. Inhale, pull your heart forward. And exhale, dome and round, push the ground away. So this is our cat pose. Coming back into our cow, drop your belly. Inhale, open up your heart. And exhale, cat, dome, round, push the ground away. One more, really begin to exaggerate the movements here. Inhale. And exhale. And we'll come back into a flat, neutral spine. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And for most of us, we'll have to elongate our stance here. So you might even need to walk your feet back or your hands forward so that your dog is pretty long. And if you're newer to the practice, a good kind of range is if you come forward into plank, shoulders right over your hips, and then you lift your hips up and back, there should really be no movement in your dog from plank to down dog. If you feel any tightness in the backs of your legs, you can separate your feet a little bit wider than your hips width. From here, put a soft bend in your knees, and then begin to lift your hips up towards the sky. And you can enhance that. Press into the inner edge of your thumb and your index finger. Push the floor down and forward. Try to get a little bit longer in your arms and see if you can get your hips a little bit higher to the sky. And as you're here, take a deep, full breath in. Nose or mouth, exhale, let it go. And then as you inhale, walk your hands back to meet your feet at the back of the mat. We'll find ragdoll pose. So you can keep your feet a little bit wider than hips width. Put a big generous bend in your knees and drape your torso right in between your legs. You can always let your arms dangle down or grab opposite elbows. And from here, shake your head yes and no, making sure you're not holding any tension in your neck or your shoulders. And a little sway of the torso side to side as well. And gently release your hands. Now heel toe your feet about hips width distance. We'll do this 3 times. Slide your hands up your shins or to your thighs. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen your spine. Exhale, back into your forward fold. Keep the knees softly bent. And 2 more on the breath. Hands to thighs or shins. Inhale, halfway, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. And this last one, if you want to keep your hands on the ground and come up halfway, go for it. Inhale, halfway, lengthen. And exhale, forward folds. Inhale, slowly come all the way up to stand. Reach your arms up overhead. Let your palms connect overhead. Option to gaze up. And exhale, hands to heart center. We'll call this mountain pose. From mountain, inhale, sweep your arms out and up. Right into a forward fold, exhale. Just like we did a moment ago, come up halfway, hands to ground or hands to legs, inhale. And walk it out, downward facing dog, so walk the hands forward. From your downward facing dog, inhale, transition into plank pose. And we're going to be here for roughly about a minute. So some options. Option A, you can stay with straight arms, palms flat on the ground. Option B, you can always drop down onto your forearms. If you're feeling any tension in your shoulders or in your low back, you can always drop your knees to the ground. But rather than that tabletop position, you want to think of your torso like a slide with your head being the top and your tailbone really being the bottom. So a nice long diagonal line from your head to your hips. Wherever you land, we're rounding about the halfway point. I'm guessing. Normally I time our classes when we do a 60-second plank because I don't like to be in plank any longer than the full 60 seconds. But let's say with the last 20 seconds here, if you want to create a little bit of movement, you can. And movement can look like the body saw. You can move your torso, your body forward and take it back. I know some people like hip dips side to side. There's a knee to tricep tap as well. We're coming into about the final 5 seconds. We'll hold it here for 3. We're going to meet in Sphinx pose in 2. 1. Go ahead, drop your knees, your pelvis to the ground. Drop your forearms to the ground if they're not already there. And your forearms will create the number 11 parallel to each other. A little neck stretch here. Take your right ear to your right shoulder. And roll your chin to your chest. Let your left ear drop to your left shoulder. And roll your chin to your chest. Go ahead, lift your chin parallel to the ground. Slide your palms back. 3 rolling cobras. We're going to start with a very little baby cobra. So with your index fingers, line them up with the tops of your shoulders. Elbows will point towards the back of your mat. For this first one, very little use of the hands. So you're going to use your back muscles and your legs. Power up the legs, and without using your hands, inhale, curl your chest up off of the ground. When you exhale, lower down. Let your third eye tap the mat. A little medium mama cobra here. So very little use of the hands, but a little use of the hands. Inhale, come up. And exhale, lower back down. And now feel free to take a nice big King Papa Cobra. Use your hands. Inhale, curl up. Make sure your shoulders stay on your back and away from your ears. And exhale, lower down. Go ahead, tuck your toes under, firm up your leg muscles. Tabletop or plank pose. Inhale, press down, rise up. And then up and back, downward facing dog. A little pedal out here, a little sway. And then we're going to roll through a couple of sun salutation A's. Inhale, lift your heels, gaze forward. Exhale, step walk, or if you feel ready, you can give it a little hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up, mountain pose. And exhale, hands to heart, Samasthiti. Pause now that you're upright. Take a full breath in. You choose nose or mouth. Let it go. Gently release your hands. Back to mountain. Inhale, sweep wide, reach up. Right into your forward fold. Exhale. Fingertips to ground or hands to legs. Inhale, come up halfway. And exhale, take it back to plank. Right away, lower your knees, your chest, and your chin towards the ground. From here, snake through cobra pose. Slide everything forward. Belly and hips down, heart will lift. And exhale, take it up and back, downward facing dog. And we'll take just one breath here. Inhale. Nose or mouth, exhale. Inhale, heels high, gaze forward. Exhale, step, walk, or hop, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. Mountain pose, inhale, rise up. Hands together at your heart. Exhale, we'll do one more round just like that before we add on. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lengthen. Exhale, take it back to plank, and right away, knees, chest, chin, lower to the ground. Snake through cobra pose, inhale. Up and back, downward facing dog. And again, we're just here for a breath. Fill up and empty out. Inhale, lift your heels, gaze in between your hands. And exhale, make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lengthen. Exhale, fold. Mountain pose, inhale, rise up. Hands together at your hearts. And we'll add on to our flow from here. Back to mountain, inhale. Back to your forward fold, exhale. Again, inhale, halfway lengthen. Exhale, take it back, plank, knees, chest, chin. Exhale, lower down. Snake through cobra, inhale. Up and back, downward facing dog. In your dog pose, bring your feet a little bit closer together. Send your right leg up and back behind you. Keep your hips square with your mat. In fact, if you were to look back at your right toes,
All 5 toes would be pointed either down towards the ground if your foot is flexed, or if you want to point your toes, all 5 toes point straight back. So we're not opening up the right hip. Take a deep breath in here, and then it's a big step, right foot to your right thumb for a low lunge. If your foot doesn't quite make it all the way, grab the back of your ankle and just pull your leg forward. So here's where your block, one of your blocks, might come in handy. If your left hand feels really far down on the ground, you can always take your block underneath your left hand, prop up onto your fingertips. We're going to send the right arm up towards the sky, so it's a low lunge twist here. Put a little bit more pressure into the big toe ball joint of your back foot. And at the same time, lift your left hip, your back hip, up towards the sky. Pull your right hip, so that's now your front hip, towards the back of your mat. And from here, get a little bit longer from your hips to your head and start to twist just a little bit deeper here. We're going to create a little dynamic flow. Inhale, open up across your heart. Now exhale, thread your right arm underneath your right thigh, round your spine like you're doing cat pose. 2 more. Inhale, send your right arm high. And again, exhale, thread right arm underneath the right thigh, round. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. And listen close. Send your right arm up to the sky. Big breath in. Now we're going to take a quarter turn to the left, parallel your feet, and set up a wide leg forward fold. Before you head in, make sure your toes turn in slightly, your heels turn out. Hands can be on your blocks or on the ground. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. And exhale, fold forward. 2 options with your hands. You can walk your hands in between your feet, fingers and toes point in the same direction, or you can turn your hands the opposite direction of your toes and start to crawl your hands through the opening of your legs. If it feels really tight on the backs of your legs, put a gentle bend in your knees. And then think about the hips. Let your hips lift up towards the sky. I always like to imagine, I live in Colorado, so if you have like headlamps and you were to wrap headlamps around the backs of your thighs, like 2 of them, you'd want your lights to shine a little bit more up towards the ceiling rather than back towards the wall or to the ground. And I mentioned Colorado just because I feel like everybody in Colorado has headlamps. It's like you move here and they're like, welcome to Colorado, you get a headlamp. 1 more breath here. All right, wherever your hands are, walk them underneath your shoulders. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Turn to the right, low lunge, front of your mat. Again, here's where your blocks might come in handy. Take your gaze forward, and then we'll set up for pyramid pose. Step your back foot in half a step, plant your heel on the ground. Make sure your back toes point towards the top left corner of your mat. And then fingers can be on the ground. If the ground feels really far away, you can always grab your blocks and place them in any setting. From here, inhale, straight arms, lift your gaze, look forward, long spine. Exhale, fold forward. And we're going to do 2 more rounds of breath just like that. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. 1 more. Inhale, halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Hold it right here. You want your back leg to be nice and straight, strong. Your front knee can be softly bent, especially if it feels like you're fighting the muscles. Give yourself a little bend. Muscles they're like the back leg muscles are like toddlers and teenagers. If you fight with them, they will fight back. You got to kind of pick your battles and sometimes make it think it's their idea to stretch. All right, straight arms, inhale, gaze forward. If you've got your blocks, you can take them off to the side. Now pivot your back heel up, continue your gaze forward, and you're going to step your back foot forward and fold. We're going to come all the way back up to mountain pose. Inhale, reach your arms out and up. And exhale, hands through heart center. 1 more round, second side. Inhale, reach out, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. And exhale, take it back to plank. And again, knees, chest, chin, lower to the ground. Snake through cobra pose, inhale. Up and back, downward facing dog. Bring your feet a tad closer together. Left leg now. Inhale, sweep your left leg high. Again, hips are square. An extra breath. See if you can lift your left heel up a little bit higher. And exhale, step low, lunge. Left foot to your left thumb. Right hand can be down on the ground or on your block. Left arm's going to stretch up towards the sky. So we're coming into the low lunge twist. This time, take your mind's eye to your back right toe, big toe, and then more to that ball joint. And feel that ball joint press down onto the mat. And at the same time, lift your back hip up towards the sky. Then square left hip, that's the front hip, towards the back of your mat. So that should help to level-ish things out. Big inhale, open up across your chest. And exhale, thread left arm underneath the left thigh. 2 more. Inhale, left arm high. And exhale, thread. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Left arm to the sky. Big inhale. And now that big fun move. Quarter turn to your right. Parallel your feet. Prasarta Padottanasana, or a wide leg fold. This time, inhale, come up halfway, lengthen, and bring your hands to your hips. Squeeze your elbows towards each other, open up across your heart, and keep your hands where they are, fold forward. So this is a different variation. It's more of an active variation. So we're not really using our hands to fold deeply into this. We're having to really use the power of our leg muscles. You can keep a soft bend in your knees, again, especially if it feels like you're fighting the backs of your legs or they just feel really tight today. Continue to squeeze your elbows towards each other. And then for this final breath, hips high, head towards the ground. And if you were shining your little headlights, they would go straight up towards the ceiling. Release your hands down onto the ground underneath your shoulders. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Turn to the left, lunge, front of your mats. Take your gaze forward, breath in. We'll set up pyramid pose. Back foot will step in half a step, heel spins to the ground. This time the back right toes are going to point towards the top right corner of your mat. Hands to the ground or hands to your blocks. And inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. We'll do 2 more just like that. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Last one, and we'll hold it. Inhale. And exhale. Full breath here. Again, front knee can be softly bent. Back leg is active and strong though. Inhale, straight arms, gaze forward. Lift your back heel, step your back foot forward. There we go, and fold. Remove your blocks. Inhale, come all the way up, mountain pose. And exhale, hands to heart center. All right, friends. We're going to flow our way to seated. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, take it back to plank. Knees, chest, chin, lower to the ground. Snake through cobra. Inhale. Up and back, downward facing dog. Exhale. And from your down dog, gaze in between your hands. You can walk. If you know how to hop, you can hop through to seated, walk or hop to seated. And we'll take a little gentle twist here, Marichiasana variation. Left leg's going to stay straight out in front of you. Take your right foot to the outside of your left thigh. If both sit bones are down on the ground, then you can bend your left knee and bring your left heel to your outer right hip. However, if your, right sit bone is lifting up off the ground, or you find you have a big round to your spine, you might keep your left leg straight. And if you've got that big round to your low back, you can sit on your block and bring the floor a little bit higher. This is a little bit easier on the low back. Wherever you land, take your right hand behind your pelvis, left arm up towards the sky. Get a little bit taller, take a breath.
And then turn and twist. You can hook your elbow either to the front of your knee or to your outer knee. And then lengthen up as you take an inhale. And exhale, turn and twist, gaze over your right shoulder. There's a natural tendency to want to round through your upper back. Try to pull your heart forward and up. Almost imagine you're trying to give like the wall or whatever your chest is facing, just a little chest bump, 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 bump. One more inhale, lengthen. See if you can eke out a tiny bit more twist. And then take your gaze forward. We'll slowly release. Keep your torso erect as you release. You want to, rather than slumping into it, keep everything upright. And then switch to the other side. And once you get yourself all set up, left hand behind the pelvis, right arm up. Inhale, get long, get tall. And exhale, turn and twist. Again, elbow to the front of the knee or to the back of the knee. Now lift your heart up. A little bit of a deeper twist. And again, that little chest bump action. Bump, bump. Keep your heart open. Keep your heart up. One more big inhale. Deeper twist as you exhale. Gaze forward. Again, keep everything upright, erect as you slowly release. Come back around to center. Now bend your knees, hands behind you. Slowly lower everything down onto the ground. You can round your spine. Just make sure everything feels pretty symmetrical as you round down. We're going to take this into one back bend, a symmetrical back bend. So bridge pose, or you have blocks. If you want to take a restorative bridge, you can take one or both. If you go both blocks, make sure they're flat underneath your sacrum. So you have this upside down triangle at the base of your spine. You want it right on that upside triangle, not so much on your low back. If you're doing bridge with me, feet are on the ground. And I'll encourage everyone to open up their feet a little bit wider than hips width distance. Press your feet into the ground. Lift your hips up towards the sky. And you can walk your shoulders underneath you here. If it feels okay, accessible, you can interlace your fingers. If that feels like a challenge, you can always grab the outer edges of your mat and try to pull your mat apart. Put just a tiny bit more pressure on the inner edges of your feet. And then lift your outer hips up towards the sky. See if you can breathe into your chest. Final 2 breaths right here. On your exhale, slowly release. Drop your hips down to the ground. Take your arms off to the right and to the left. Heel toe your feet as wide as your mat. And then let your knees windshield wiper to the left and to the right a couple of times. Next time they windshield wiper to the left, hold it right there. And you can keep your feet wide just as they are. If you want a little extra, you can take your left foot, hook it on top of your right thigh. And arms can stay into this kind of cactus arm variation, or you can always take your arms up overhead. And if you take your arms up overhead, let your left hand grab your right wrist and gently start to nudge your body apart. So left foot will nudge the right knee forward, left hand will nudge the right hand back. And if you've hooked your left foot on your right thigh, go ahead, unhook it. You want to keep your feet wide. Slowly inhale, draw your knees back up through center. With the feet wide, let your knees fall over to the right. And again, you can stay with the feet apart, or you can hook your right foot on top of your left thigh. And if you want that full body stretch, arms will reach up overhead, and this time right hand's going to grab the left wrist. And gently nudge your body apart. The left side feels so different and so good. My left hip flexor is saying hello right now. If you've got your foot hooked, go ahead and unhook it. Again, feet are going to stay wide. Inhale your knees up through center. Go ahead, pull your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. Little unknown fact about oxytocin. It's the love hormone. We get it when we hug each other. You can hug yourself for 20 seconds and release your own oxytocin. All right, feel free to stay in this embrace or take a deep breath in. Our final pose, Shavasana. And extend your legs out. You can take up some space. You have 2 blocks, and if you're feeling any sensitivity in your low back, you can take a block under each knee. And I would recommend flat or medium. And then wherever you land, let your feet flop open. Spin your palms face up. You might do just a little wiggle of the entire body. And then a deep breath in. Big full release. Surrender and release. You find that the patterns of your mind continue to swirl here. Think about the intention that you set for yourself in the beginning of our class. Use that as a little mantra. You can repeat it to yourself. Another option is just to focus on the breath. Focus a little bit more on your out breath. And really tune into that sense of letting go, not only of the breath that no longer serves you, but really any tension that might be lingering in your body. And I'll offer that this space and time is available for as long as you need this morning. So if you want to remain in Shavasana for a little bit longer, please stay right where you are. If you feel ready to come out, take a deep breath. Open up your mouth, big exhale, let it go. You can take your arms up above your head. A long body stretch here, maybe even a big yawn. Again, pull your knees into your chest. And take the path that feels like the least resistance to you. You can roll to your right or to your left. You can always come straight up the center line. And make your way to a comfortable seated position. When you come upright, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Anjali Mudra. Both a hand gesture of greetings and gratitude. Thank you all so much for joining me for this 30-minute all levels flow. Make sure to thank yourself for showing up. That's really most of the battle, and then doing the work. It's a pleasure, my friends. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.